Now there's whiskey. I love hosting this show every once in a while. So we're going to be talking about an important whiskey tasting event coming up. And Philip Dangerfield is the executive director of something that I did not know existed, Whisky Ottawa.
Whisky Ottawa.
And Mike Brisebois is from Distill. You're the brand ambassador, which means you're pretty much an expert in this. So first of all, let's talk, Phil, about the event itself.
Okay. Whisky Ottawa, we're going into our 4th year. And this is our 3rd year back at the War Museum. The program itself is an all-inclusive ticket. So it's $119. You get your tickets at whiskyottawa.ca. Come down, we have approximately just over 100 different whiskeys to sample.
This is growing, isn't it?
Yes.
Because, there are a number of people I know who are sommeliers, craft beer experts, cheese experts, and now I keep hearing, people going to whiskey events and whiskey tastings.
Well, one of the things about whiskey, too, that some people, conceptually wise, is that whiskey isn't just Scotch. It's Scotch, bourbon, and rye. Okay.
I learned something here today.
Yeah. So the title of whiskey is this is the family of whiskey that we're presenting.
Okay.
So there's something for everybody. And some people say, "Oh, I don't drink Scotch." Well, have you ever had Jack Daniels? Well, I've had Jack Daniels. Well, you've drank bourbon, and that's American whiskey. So Canadian whiskey is rye. So it's
you were telling me things I did not know.
Yeah.
So now, Mike, why don't you tell us a little bit about what Phil is talking about here, but different kinds. I mean, I'm assuming it's a little bit like wine tasting. There's all different flavors, and nuances.
So you're going to be nosing, you're going to find different flavors from it. So and every whiskey kind of has its own unique flavor. They're all made the same, but every whiskey has its own real flavor profile and etc. So we're in Scotland.
Let's start in the beginning. What is in whiskey? I mean, I know about hops and grapes and things like that for other products, but what's whiskey made of?
So if we look in Scotland, whiskey's made with 100% malted barley.
Malted barley.
It varies from other regions. So in bourbon, for instance, it has to be 51% corn. Then a variation of wheat, barley, and rye. We're focusing on Scotland today, which is all made with 100% malted barley.
Is this where it came from? Scotland? Did they start this?
It's the first record of distillation of whiskey. It was John Friar Core. It was ordered by the king to make 8 bowls of whiskey for his hunting camp. Oh. So it dates far back.
How do you become a whiskey expert? Is there a school? We know about sommeliers for wine. How did you...
Well, for me, it was just passion. I started researching about 10 years ago about everything whiskey, and I fell in love with this brand. And that got me the opportunity to become a brand ambassador and travel the country to talk about Bunnahabhain.
And Phil, you said 100 different ones, right? Will be at the
I think we're just over 100 actually, 100 and a couple, and we always have some of the vendors show up and say, "Hey, I brought this. Hey, I brought that." So there's always a couple surprises that come up that aren't even on our website. But we have 100 different labels that are going to be on the floor, and a variation of years. I think the oldest is somewhere around 25, maybe a little older. Which is actually right here. We have one of those, down to some young ryes and things and whiskeys that have been made recently, but quite a variation of age and tastes. And I think that as our friend Michael here was just talking about the different flavors and smells.
Well, let's talk about that. Teach us. Oh, wise whiskey one.
So our whiskey distillery is from Islay. It's an island off of the west coast of Scotland. And Islay is usually known for having the most peated whiskies. Bunnahabhain is known as the gentle dram of Islay. Reason is it's actually has its own natural spring water source. So it's unaffected by any of the peated moorlands. So that's how you get that gentle taste of Bunnahabhain. So how about I get you to try one?
Well, this will be the first time in my life that I have not had Jack Daniels either, to answer your question, but the first time in my life that I, like, this. So this is a good one. You picked a good one to bring
absolutely.
Today.
They're all very good.
I can smell it from here. This scares me a little bit.
So when you drink whiskey, it's about the experience. There's no rush to it. You can pour yourself a dram, which is a dram, and you take your time with it. You can drink it in 45 minutes, an hour. It's about nosing in the full experience.
I was assuming that we weren't shooting this, but
no. So your initial taste, what I would like you to do is just nose it a little bit and open your mouth and almost like smile.
Oh,
You get
I
some
feel it in
beautiful
here.
That's right. You get some beautiful essences. So on the nose, you really get those deep fruits that come out.
You guys are laughing at me back there, aren't you?
A touch of vanilla and a little bit of toffee. So what I would do is
You got all that from.
Mm-hmm.
Really? I'm not. This is training, right?
Yeah.
Like you've been trained to find all this stuff.
And now your
Oh, I didn't
initial
know that.
taste, I would just let it wet your lips because it's 46% alcohol touching your
Okay,
lips.
well I have to drive home after this show, so we're going to be super careful. Oh. Wow, that is something else, isn't it?
That's yummy, eh?
So you got your mouth ready now.
Wow.
So on your next sip, I want you to keep it in your
That
mouth.
was just the ready phase?
That's your ready phase. The next
I
sip,
should have had lunch before. Oh, we're doing a food segment next
Great
segment.
idea.
Food
Good.
segment's next, yeah.
so keep it in your mouth for a good 10 seconds. Let the alcohol burn on your tongue.
Oh, burn. Burn, that's a good word.
Then
for,
swallow and exhale.
and in the next 30 seconds, we're being told.
With your mouth.
That is intense.
See, that works.
I can still taste it.
It's good. It stays right in your palate.
It is in my palate. Thank you very much. And good luck at the whiskey tasting. I'm not going to finish that if that's okay
That's
with
okay.
you. I hate to, not consume things that are very expensive, but we'll be right back.